And we're lucky this Monday morning to be joined live in studio by our good friend Gail Trauco, back with us again. You've helped us through so many different conditions, including depression, and today you're here to talk about your new children's book, your first children's book that helps children deal with loss. It's called Emma Meets the Grief Monster, and it's being called a great book to help children deal with divorce and loss. That was by Fox TV, so high praise for your first children's book. What's it about?
This is a story of Emma, and she meets the grief monster. The grief monster is going to take her through the 7 phases of a grief cycle and all the changes that are going to go on in her family. We won't talk about all the loss, but she will experience more loss than just having her dad move. So it's a very real day-to-day life situation that all children experience, and that's so unrecognized in our society. You know, you talk about divorce, it's generally the parents people talk about. So unspoken of is the loss that the children experience.
And all children experience some type of loss, and I know we were talking earlier that there are books that address certain types of loss, but there's not really a book out there until now that addresses loss in general and how to really help our kids through that time.
You know, 50% of all North American children will witness their parents divorce. 50% of these kids are going to see a repeat divorce of the second marriage. I was just at Harvard University in December, met with researchers, and they said, you know what? Children of repeat divorce are getting lower grades in school, and kids their own age rated them in this clinical study as being less pleasant to be around. It's the parents' responsibility, now this is my medical opinion, to take responsibility for your children's actions and to take steps to minimize damage on children in the divorce process.
Because doing poorly in school and having poor social interactions early in life, I mean, that sets the stage, doesn't it?
It does set the stage. So 3 mistakes to avoid. The first mistake, the Helen Keller mistake, not listening to our children. We all know children are brutally honest. They're going to tell us the truth, whether or not it's something that we want to hear. So if you are listening, your child is communicating to you how they are feeling and where they're at in a grief cycle. The second mistake, the Justin Bieber blunder. This is my favorite. Justin Bieber's always in the media.
Oh, yeah.
Not doing great humanitarian service. He's got a speeding ticket. He's created a public disturbance. It's drug, it's alcohol. What parent have you seen step up in this young man's career and say, you know what, I'm going to put him on a more constructive path. We're going to refocus this energy. And the third mistake, the Paris Jackson problem, not observing your child's behavior. If you look at pictures of Paris Jackson in the media, even now you see scars on her wrist. This child cuts herself and still is doing so. Her first suicide attempt was in June of 2013. As a parent, was her caregiver being observant of her behavior? As a mom, I would have seen these scars and clear visibility on this child's wrist and put her in a more supportive environment and provided her with the tools that she needed to fill those needs and to feel better about herself. But I've identified 3 mistakes to avoid. What are things that you can do to minimize damage on kids? I have a grief formula that's really easy for everybody to remember. G, growth. A grief cycle is always a period of growth, just like spring, the flowers bloom. You're going to come out of this a different person at the end of a grief cycle. R, respect. Respect how you feel. More importantly, respect how your child is feeling. I, intuition. Listen to your heart. That's going to tell you how you're feeling. E, externalize. I brought one of my favorite externalization techniques with me today. We have Mia. Spending time with your pet, giving your child permission to, if they need to cry, how do they feel about the situation and the changes going on in the family unit. Pets provide us with such awesome, unconditional love and support.
It is. It's unjudgmental. You can just bury your face in that fur. They are great coping mechanisms.
Great coping mechanisms. You know, even taking the dog for a walk. As a family, go outside and vitamin D therapy. We're in the springtime. The weather's nice, and you just feel better, even if it's for 5 minutes. And F, forward, just like in basketball. We want to move forward and be a slam dunk and score points at the end of a grief cycle, because you will have grown into a better person. You're going to live with this life trauma. You know, we've all lost Prince across the nation. Not, you know, our children may not know who he was, but as adults, we've all grieving the loss of someone we care about.
Purple today.
We
as
do.
A Prince fan.
And you know, that's also represents the grief monster.
Yeah.
So, you know, everybody feels loss, and my goal is to help people understand children experience loss, not only with divorce, but with changing schools, with a move, with a parent's career. You know, there's just loss everywhere, and we want to help our children and provide them the support so that they grow during this period of loss and that they end up in that place of forgetfulness and healing.
That loss is a part of life, and we can either let it take us down or we can let it build us up stronger. The book is Emma Meets the Grief Monster. It's available in hospitals. It's also available at Amazon.com. Fox TV says it's a great book to help children deal with divorce and loss. So pick up Emma Meets the Grief Monster. Help your children through a tough time. Gail, we love having you on the show. I love the Hawks basketball. They have 2 tough losses that they're trying to deal with too. We hope they get it done. Thank you so much. We can't wait to have you back.
Thanks, Rick.